What makes you hate yourself? Is it the red shoes?
What?
Is it the red shoes?
No.
Are you sure? Because they're fucking red. Don't you be smiling like that. You'll fuck everything up. You've been so hard on yourself. I love that you have such high standards. But those aren't high standards. That's called perfection. And most people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 2 or 3 decades. And you haven't been around long enough to have those extra 2 or 3 decades. So don't fuck it up. There's time. If you give yourself just a little bit of time, and if you'll be a little more loving to yourself, I think you're gonna find you got a lot to give.
So when you're young and you make mistakes, don't let them eat you up. Because everybody that done made it, done made it. Yeah. You got to fail in order to win. Hey, look, man, to understand how to hit the game-winning shot, you got to miss the game-winning shot.
Think about how powerful people could be if they saw themselves as beautiful and deserving and walked around the world carrying that.
So think about you being the kid in classroom. Teacher asks the question, you know the answer, but you're afraid to raise your hand anyway because you're afraid of what someone else is going to say, how it's going to look, so you don't say anything. There are people who never invented something that would have made millions or changed the world. Why? Well, they're going to say I'm stupid, this is crazy. It leads to just people not even tapping into their potential because they're so worried about what other people got to say. When you get to a point where you don't care what other people got to say, you have truly set yourself free.
The crazy thing is, we all love ourselves more than other people. We're all self-interested, selfish people to a certain degree, right? And he says, and yet we value other people's opinions more than our own.
What if that relationship needed to go wrong for you to fulfill your full potential? This relationship, this pain that you're feeling, as difficult as it may be to hear, could be one of the greatest gifts you've ever received. Not just for yourself, but for your future relationship. Because the person you ultimately end up with is going to benefit from this suffering that you're going through now. Because you're going to bring a kinder, more compassionate, more confident you to the table next time if this pain gets you to do the work.
You know why you think some people's lives are better than yours? Because you see the part that they show you. They might have a better house, but I wonder what goes on inside. You will find out that some of the people you spent so much of your time envying were secretly miserable. Better is a perspective. You know why you think some people's lives are better than yours? Because you see the part that they show you. They might have a better house, but I wonder what goes on inside. You will find out that some of the people you spent so much of your time envying were secretly miserable. Better is a perspective.
If you had a terrible day, right? Really internalize that. How many good days have you had to realize that this one wasn't as good as the other one? Yeah. Let's just be thankful for this moment.
Right.
We may not get it again.
You don't trust that someone's never going to betray you. You just trust that you'll be able to handle it if they do. That you'll be able to walk away. Stop worrying about whether you can trust someone else. That is a pointless waste of your energy to worry about. In California, there might be an earthquake. You and I aren't sitting here like this just in case there's an earthquake, are we? Like, at any point this could happen. No, you have your procedure. Like, if there's an earthquake, we're going to stand in a certain part of the house that's the safest, and now get on with life.
Being anxious is to have anxiety about something that hadn't even happened yet. Some of you are so worried by the threat of trouble. You're not in trouble, it's just that trouble has threatened you. And the threat of what might happen, what could happen, is wearing you down. Half of the things that you thought were going to happen never did happen. But if you allow those thoughts to dwell in your mind, it will succeed at robbing you of your peace, robbing you of your joy, robbing you of your life.
When I was younger, but before I got married, what I ate was microwavable foods because I was single and I couldn't cook. The problem with microwavable foods is that after you cook it, you stick a fork in, the middle is still cold. The reason why grandmama's cooking was so good, because she didn't cook Sunday dinner, Sunday evening, she started Saturday night. And she let it marinate overnight, that's why it was so good. The reason why your gift is not like all these other gifts that are so microwavable is because God's put something in you that is too great. And you gotta know that what's inside of you is so great that it's taking a little bit longer because God did not call you to be microwavable. So don't give up. Your time is coming.
You take a seed and, you know, if it stays on the shelf, it's not going to do any good. But that seed has to go through a dark time. It gets planted, it gets buried, it's in the ground, it's dark, it's uncomfortable. People may be walking on it. The only way for that seed to germinate is to go through a dark season. So I like this thought about you're not buried, you're planted. You're about to come up. You're going to blossom. Great things come out of the dark.
You don't really realize life lessons until later. You know that, right? It's later that you say, oh, it was good for me that I was afflicted because this taught me that. Oh, it's good for me that they told me no because I didn't want to date them anyway. If I would have married them, I would be in therapy. You don't really realize life lessons until later. You know that, right? It's later that you say, oh, it was good for me that I was afflicted because this taught me that. Oh, it's good for me that they told me no because I didn't want to date them anyway. If I would have married them, I would be in therapy right now. It's later that we see the lesson.
If someone's in their early 20s, what should they be reconsidering about their story?
They should look at their life like a story. If I were a hero in a story and I were talking to my girlfriend this way, what does that do to the story? Does the audience root for this character or do they not like this character? Then you ask yourself, okay, if I've screwed up, how do you fix it? Well, how would a hero fix it? You apologize, you make it right.
When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person that walked into it. That's what the storm is all about. When you can't control what's happening to you, control how you respond to it. That's where your power is.
People always tell you that life is short, but actually life is long. And if you're 24 years old or 34 years old, I mean, when I was 34 years old, I was still 21 years away from having a book published, even though I've been busting my ass for all that. So if I would say to a younger person, take some pressure off yourself. It's all this bullshit in the social media that there's a hack and you can do it tomorrow. It's, enjoy the trip, pay attention, keep your eyes open on the journey. When it's ready to happen, it'll happen.
It's easy to treat people right when you like them and when things are going great. But you really want to know the true character of a person, the true measure of a person is how you treat them when things aren't going well.
Amen.
When things are going bad. That's the true measure. It's easy to treat people right when you like them and when things are going great. But you really want to know the true character of a person, the true measure of a person is how you treat them when things aren't going well.
Amen.
When things are going bad. That's the true measure.
The fact that people actually think at 18, 22, or 30, you have to have your shit figured out is fucking ridiculous. Let me promise you, all those parents and uncles and grandparents that push down your throat that you have to figure it out by now, they still haven't figured it the fuck out. Most people in their early 20s, greatest mistake is not understanding how young they are. The reality is you have 100 years of life in front of you. You haven't even started. Having it figured out by 25, 27, 30 is ridiculous. Do not listen to your parents or society that you have to have it figured out. It's just not true. Take a breath. Be grateful that you're alive and are watching this video. Gratitude of what you have versus crying about what you don't have. Most of you are stressed about getting a job, and then you're gonna have a job in 6 months, and you're not even gonna like it. Take a breath.
I talk to so many smart, fantastic, ambitious, idealistic, hard-working kids, and they're right out of college, they're in their entry-level jobs, and I'll ask them, how's it going? And they'll say, I think I'm gonna quit. And I'm like, why? And they say to me, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months, right? But the problem is this sense of impatience. It's as if an entire generation is standing at the foot of a mountain. They know exactly what they want. They can see the summit. What they can't see is the mountain. Take a helicopter climb, I don't care, but there's still a mountain. Life, career fulfillment, relationships are journeys.